it's curious. My first impression of the character was quite different from my last impression, because Joe Straczynski kept adding to the character. He kept elaborating the character. And initially, it was just a tough guy who was wary of most people and only had loyalty to his crew and to his other Psi Corps people. And then we began to see that he had a heart, and he had affection, and he had compassion, and that he had a love life, and that he was, even though he had a wife, he was really faithful to somebody else. The wife was a mistake that was sort of thrust upon him. So over the course of the 12 episodes, he grew a lot, and it was my responsibility to somehow incorporate each of these new elements to keep the character consistent, so that you wouldn't say, well, yeah, now he does this, but at the beginning he just did that, you know. But to find a way to bring into the episodes that he was easier to like, to bring in still the qualities that we had at the beginning that weren't so easy to like, you know. So I spent time doing that. I spent time trying to make sure the character was consistent. And we went so far as to do an episode, bless his heart, Joe, that was about the Psi Corps. You know, usually the Psi Corps was attendant to the story, to the main plot. But this story was about the Psi Corps. And I was the leader, and I'm looking for a rogue character from the Psi Corps. We go to Babylon 5 to find them, and a young woman offers herself to me because she feels that I'm distraught, that I'm I'm dealing with a lot of stress. I mean, these things are not generally offered to the guest on the show. So I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with all of them, and that one in particular, and that one because it really underscored the fact that the character was being treated with respect, and it was important to the whole series. And in fact, if the show had gone on, if it had been picked up as a new series, which they were thinking of doing, and using the original as a springboard for the new series with some of the same characters, Bester would have been in that show. I read the first script. I got paid for the first script. We didn't shoot it, but I got paid for it. So I knew he was coming back. So altogether, it's all that I could have hoped for in a television series as a semi-regular or as a regular. It really was very, very rewarding for me.
Now, what were the fans' reaction to your character, to this new role?
It was interesting. There was an initial reaction, which you always anticipate. There's a proprietary factor involved. I had been Chekhov, and they could only see me as Chekhov, you know. And that was really, it didn't last very long, maybe through the first episode. They very quickly accepted the fact that Bester was not a threat to Chekhov, that they could both, they existed in different worlds, and they can both exist. And they grew attached to the character. Bester became the character that they loved to hate. And that's what I got constantly at conventions. Boy, you were a bastard. Boy, were you mean. And God, how I loved watching you. You know, it was the kind of thing. And you must have really enjoyed that role. That's the kind of thing I got too. It was true, I did. So I was very pleased with it. In fact, they started, when they had Babylon 5 conventions, even though I only did 12 episodes, and they did, I think, about 100, I was invited to most of the conventions, most of Babylon 5 conventions, as an important character. And they had these votes, you know, they had these polls, and Bester won the polls, you know, as a favorite character.